All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Megan, is it a beautiful day in Idaho?
It is absolutely beautiful. We got blue skies.
I love it. We haven't had too much weather down here, like as far as like rain or anything. It's been a really dry year. Has it been the
Yeah.
same there?
Yep. We've had all those fires and stuff. So we haven't had blue skies really all of August. And so lately it's like yesterday and today I'm like, yes.
I love it. That is so great. Well, happy Saturday, everyone. I'm excited to have everyone jump on this morning to be with me and with Megan. She has an amazing story, and so I'm just excited for you guys to be here and to be present and pay attention because she has some really wise words of wisdom. Yeah, you really do. So I just want to introduce you to, well, let's breathe. Can we breathe first? Let's
Yeah,
just
that would
breathe.
be great.
So let's take a few breaths. If you guys want a heart link, you can. So we're going to breathe in. Ready? On the count of, well, we're going to breathe in for 4 and out for 4. So ready? In and out. We're going to do it 2 more times. Ready? In and out. We're going to hold it at the top this time. Ready? In. Hold it and out. Okay. All right. Just
Like
clears
that.
my head. I love it so much. All right, everyone. So I want to introduce you to my friend Megan. After yesterday's call, Tammy and I were like, oh my gosh, who can we call that we love and is so fun? And we can do a fun Friday call. And we've never even done that before. But we thought of Megan. And so we called her, and she had so many wise words of wisdom. And she started telling us about her setback that she's had. And how she decided and committed, and she's determined to have this come back. And I didn't even know all that was going on in her life. We've been friends for a couple of years, and but I just haven't talked to her through all the stuff I've been going through. I just haven't really reached out to very many people, and so. Today's affirmation, and it goes right along with what Megan's going to talk about, but today's affirmation is, I am committed and determined. And so, Megan, I am going to turn that over to you. I want you to tell them a little bit about what you've been going through, about your setback, and just everything you told me yesterday about coming back and the decisions that you made and how committed and determined you are to make a change in your life.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill.
Oh,
So
wait, but let
grateful.
me tell you first a little bit about her. I just was so excited to hear from her. So, Megan lives in Pocatello, Idaho. She has an amazing husband, Nick. They are just such a cute couple together. She has 3 kids, and Megan is a personal trainer, and she's also done bodybuilding shows, and she's had to be committed a lot during her life. So, Megan, thanks for letting me put that in there for you, just because I want everyone to know, who you are and everything about you. So, all right, Meg, take it
Great.
over, sister.
Well, thank you so much, Jill. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited. I guess I have been committed to a few things in my life. I never really thought of it that way. But I'm so grateful for this affirmation. I am committed and determined. And I do say this a lot, actually, so this is very fitting. But really, my setback kind of started last year. It's just been over a year. So in June of last year, me and my husband decided to recommit to our faith. And we'd struggled for a lot of years getting back to active into our church and things like that. And I think I just had a breaking point where I was like, that's what I really want in my life. I need a little bit more God in my life. I want more direction in my life. And so I first committed and made that commitment to myself and to God. And I didn't really tell my husband about it. And this, I'm going to tell you just briefly, he went off to scout camp with the boys. My son just barely was his first year in scout camp. And I made a phone call to the bishop and I said, hey, I need to get in with you. I want to go back to the temple. I want to start, going back to church. What do I need to do? And Nick was all at scout camp this whole week. And I set up the appointment with the bishop. And it was on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And Nick gets back on Saturday afternoon from scout camp. And I'm like, hey, by the way, I have this interview tomorrow. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I think you should come with me. So he came with me. We both went into the office to talk to the bishop. And it happened to be a Sunday where we can get our temple recommends. And he's like, come back tonight and you guys can get your recommends. And it all happened so fast that Nick was just like, what just happened? What happened this week? I was gone for 1 week and I come back and we have our temple recommends. So that was the time I just got really clear on what I wanted and I went for it. And I think when you make that decision, everything just kind of falls into place, because everything that week just really fell into place for me, and it was almost effortlessly. But come throughout the summer, we were staying committed, and going into the fall, I actually happened to fall a bit back into depression, and that's something I've kind of struggled with for a lot of years. And I fell into it, and I think it was because when you start to work towards something that you really, really want, you'll have a lot of resistance, and that can come from different places, right? It can be people in your life that don't want you to move forward because of whatever. It can just be, Satan working on you a little bit there too. And it can be a little bit of your own mind game as well. And so I started to fall into depression, and I got really, really depressed. Like, it was the worst I'd been in a lot of years. And I got really concerned about it. And I was really worried. And so I went to my husband and my parents, and I really let a lot of people know this time, because usually I suffer in silence. And I think a lot of people that do have depression suffer in silence, in fear that we don't know that most people know what we feel like. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to we're already feeling bad about ourselves. We don't want to be the Debbie Downer on anybody else's parade. So we kind of keep it to ourselves. But this time I decided that I didn't want to live this way. And I knew there was a better way, because I felt so much better back in June and July. And I wanted to keep feeling that way. So I told a few people about what I was really going through, my big struggles. And so I had that support. And I think that's what really helped me stay committed. So working through that, I had to make a decision every day to get up and say a prayer and let God be on my side, and that he would help me make it through the day. And so I do rely a lot on my faith and my belief in God, and having him actually be, I wrote this down. Part of my comeback with my faith was, I think of it as, I was life is like a boat on the water, and it can go to and fro. It can go anywhere with the waves. And if you aren't the captain of your boat, that boat will just go anywhere. And sometimes it'll capsize, and sometimes it'll get caught in a hurricane. And life can just feel so hard and confusing. And so at that point, I decided I wanted to be the captain of my boat, and I was going to let God be my sails. And so I was going to go to him for direction. And it's really worked really well since then. So that was my setback, was falling back into depression, and then thinking, okay, I can keep going with this, and I can keep running the same cycle. Or I can take charge and do something about this. And that's when I kind of woke up, I guess you say. I woke up and I was like, let's see what happens if I give it a bigger effort, if I become more determined and I put a bigger step forward every single day. And so come this year, it's been, I would say that depression cycle only lasted, it was rough. It went through the winter. But come January and February, it had actually met some friends through the fall. I joined my gym again, and I actually called on some accountability buddies. And one girlfriend stuck with me in that, which is so amazing, because she's still with me since November, and we work out every day together. But she was there to keep me going, and having that friend and going back to the gym and having that commitment made it easier. So the part of this affirmation, I am committed, I would say has to do with having other people come along with you. Find somebody else that can hold you accountable, because that can make a huge difference. And if you don't have anybody, then you've got to be really strong and commit to yourself and know that you're doing this for yourself, which is still a really great thing. But I found people along the way. So come January, February, me and Brett were still working out. She was just awesome. And then things just kind of got a little bit better, and I just took it one day at a time. And then I was kind of waiting, like, okay, now what I want to do, what I want to be committed to. I finally made it back to the gym. I'm doing pretty good. And I sat down and started to write out kind of the things I wanted my life to look like, and how was I going to stay on track with those things. So I came up with 5 things that I was ready to commit to and work a little bit on each day. And one was faith. And I think that came first before I'd even made this list. That was the number one thing that was like the most important to me. And me and my husband put God first in a relationship. We always turn to him when we need guidance and just peace and stuff like that. So faith is first. And then our family became second. I know that sounds weird, but God can make a family so much more closer. And so our family has grown. We've made sure we've cut out time to be with our kids, to have more activities together, to sit down and actually have meals together. And so family was on my list. And then friendships was, I really wanted to build more meaningful relationships with friends. So like that girl I brought to the gym in November, at the time I didn't know she was going to stay with me or not, but I really fell in love with her. She's so cute and so fun, and we just hit it off. And so I was able to really cultivate that relationship with her. I celebrate birthdays with her. We go out to lunch. I go and watch her kids play soccer and things like that. And so building friendships was the next on my list. And then, and these are in no particular order after this, because friendships, husband, I love my husband dearly. But he's on my list, and I wanted to really cultivate that relationship with him too, and be more open with him. As a person that suffers with depression, it's easy to push the husband to the side and just say, you don't understand. Just let me be in my room for 2 or 3 days and I'll just work it out. And so Nick and I have decided that, well, I decided that I would go to him when I was having those feelings and being emotional that day, that I'm like, hey, this is kind of what's going on. And we were able to work it out and talk it out. And I ended up not having to be in solitude for 2 to 3 days, which is so awesome. So committing to my husband and my relationship, my openness with him. And then the last one was my business. So I'm in Isogenics like Jill. And I just wanted to really love on my team more and give more back to the people that I serve in that capacity. And so I decided to become more serviceful to them and be more and build those meaningful relationships with the people in my business as well. And then set up business goals along the way, because this business is awesome. I love Isogenics. They do so much for us. It's amazing. And to me, Isogenics was a gift from God. Like, it was something I'd actually prayed for at the time in 2015. It was right before one of my bodybuilding shows, actually. And if anybody's done a competition or been in that kind of realm, you kind of get in a mindset of it's all about you and how you look. And you're always looking in the mirror, checking your abs. And it can become a very selfish kind of sport if you're not very careful. And you don't really fall into that like right away. It comes with time. But I came to a point where I was very selfish, and I was so worried about like when my next meal was going to be, and if I'd wake up with abs the next day if I ate too much. Like, I was just, my focus was so much on me and what I saw in the mirror that I couldn't help anybody. And so it was 2015 that I prayed and I said, I need a vehicle. I need a way to serve people, because I know service is the way to not be selfish, right? If you serve other people, then you're not thinking about yourself. And so it was so funny. And it gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it, because it really was, the answer was Isogenics. And I threw my arms up like, what? Isogenics? How's that going to help me serve people? Because I didn't understand what it was at the time. I just knew this guy had shared the products with me. And so I did a little bit of research in it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's about helping other people. Kind of like I do as a personal trainer. I help people reach their goals and get them to feeling great again and help them stay committed. And I care about them more than I care about me at that point. And so I got what Isogenics was. And so it took me 5 months, but I did join. And ever since then, I have been able to serve hundreds and hundreds of people in and outside of Isogenics. It's opened the doors to serve people in different capacities and link people up together that are like, hey, I need help with this in my life. And I can go, oh my gosh, I met somebody along the way and they actually are really good at what you're trying to look for. Let me connect you with that person. So it came in so many different capacities. So
I love that. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so like basically a setback, I think I love what you're doing, Jill. I love that this month is a setback to comeback, because we all have setbacks in our life. And we could always allow that setback to keep setting us back and never getting out of it. And that's kind of what I felt like I was in. I was just in a constant setback cycle. And it wasn't until I was like, I want to break the cycle so bad. I want to see what's on the other side when I finally commit and I'm determined to overcome this. Because I've had glimpses of it before. And I think we all have in our setbacks. I think we're there because we've had a glimpse of what's on the other side, but then through, I think, feelings of inadequacy or not being worthy enough or feeling good enough or loved enough or whatever, it puts us back into that setback. And so as I've caught those glimpses, I'm like, okay, I know this is possible. And then I just had to really go, okay, can I do this? And can Megan believe in Megan? And that's where it started. I'm like, you got to start believing in yourself. I believe in everybody else can do all these amazing and great things that they want to do when they come to me with their goal. And I say, yeah, you can do it. You are awesome. You're strong. You can do anything you put your mind to, we'll set you up on little baby steps along the way. And that's what I do for other people, but I wasn't doing it for myself. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I finally was like, I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to do everything I tell everybody else to do and see where it takes me. And here I am a little bit over a year later, and I made the hugest comeback I think I have ever in my whole life. So I'm grateful to share that with you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And what I love so much about this, well, I wrote a few things down that I want to go over that what you said that really touched my heart. But just that everybody has setbacks. You guys, all of us do. And you don't need to be ashamed of the setback. And even like just give yourself grace and space to even be in that setback. I know that when I was going through my stuff, I would wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, just get through this. Like, you don't need to be in this funk. Like, you can be better than this. But then at the same time, I'm like, just give yourself that space and that grace to even be in that moment and, and realize that you are in that moment, but that God can help you get out of that, or your higher power, whatever that is for you. And especially being circled, you said that you found friends. You guys, that's what I did. I had, my husband, I had my, some really close friends that I'm able to reach out to at any time of the day. And some of them are on here right now. So thank you for being on here. Just super, super supportive and, just being there every step of the way. One thing, Megan, that struck me is that, we all know that it's one day at a time, and sometimes it's 1 minute at a time, right? With so many things, with me for eating, number one, but even just getting out of your funk, you're just like, okay, 1 minute at a time, let's raise our vibration somehow and just keep moving forward, right? However that is for you. And some people do it through dancing or through music, or for me, it's outside grounding and things like that. The other thing that really struck a chord in me was that you started being open with your husband instead of going into this reclusive, because I just tend to just hold it all in. And then he walks in, to the bedroom or whatever, and I'm bawling. He's, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, nothing, I'm fine, but just fine. Yeah. And he's like, okay, whatever. I don't know what to even say. So just being open with him and telling him how I feel. Because sometimes I'm like, he doesn't need to know how I feel. Like, this is stupid. Like, why should I even, kind of like confide in him when it's not even about him? Like, does that make sense? It's just about everything we're going through. And then the last thing that really struck a chord in me is that when you are so inwardly focused, you're no good to anybody else, right? You are always concerned. And I just have to hand it to you. You would look in the mirror and just make sure your abs were popping. I don't even know that I've ever had an ab pop in my whole life.
It's not as great as people think it is. That's what I tell everybody. I'm like, it's just stomach. I'm going to walk around all day with my shirt up, showing that to people. Like, abs are great, whatever. But I'm like, there's so much more to you than your abs. There's so much more out there than your abs.
But
your smile.
Yeah. But you took it from being so inwardly focused to being able to find isogenics and be able to bless and serve so many other people, whether it's with their health or their fitness or their weight loss or their income or whatever that is. And you were able to serve and help so many people.
Yeah. And even with that service, it was hard because a lot of people had a hard time with me starting isogenics, actually, and they didn't know how that would be of service to anybody. But when I got started, a lot of people started coming out of the woodworks, I guess you would say, and say, oh my gosh, if Megan can do it, then I can do it, because it was
Mhm.
something so different than what I was typically doing, that their idea around being on a program with Isogenics kind of was like, okay, this is like a good thing, because Megan wouldn't be doing it if it was a bad thing, you know? Or even people come out and tell me it's so great when you get into serving other people, you start to listen to their story and you forget about your own. Like you
Yeah.
forget about where you were, you forget about all your problems, and you get to listen to theirs, and you just can just listen. And that's what people really, really want, is I'm finding out they just want a
Mhm.
friend and somebody to listen to. And
Well, and
that's
it's not about us, it's about them and helping them with whatever their goals are.
Mhm.
So just really quick, Megan, will you tell me, because you're a personal trainer, you've done so many different supplements. We're kind of switching gears, and then I'm going to bring it all around at the end.
Okay.
But you've done so many different supplements, so many different programs. You, being a personal trainer, you've probably had a lot of different things brought to you and saying, try this, try this. But why isogenics? Why isogenics?
That's a great question. Um, well, all the supplements I was on, there's two reasons, okay? So when I was doing my shows and I was all hyped up on BCAs and pre-workouts and protein shakes and fish oil, all that kind of stuff, we put you on a ton of stuff. I was not feeling good. Like I looked like an athlete, but I was probably like a 698-year-old woman, like on all these drugs. And I really did feel like crap. I was tired all the time. I was um, drinking 2 monsters a day and a cup of coffee, and I could still like sleep. I was taking afternoon naps. I was just cranky. I was ornery. Like I was just an ornery mom. And I look back and I'm just like, I'm so sorry, kids, that I did that to you. But I would always put a smile on my face, and most people didn't know what was going on, but I just felt yucky inside. And I did want to move more to all natural kind of stuff, because that stuff the other stuff you get is pretty synthetic. It's not made with you in mind. It's made to make a sell. And they put a fancy label on it and call it hardcore stuff, so you feel like a beast. But I wanted to move to something more all natural. And so when Anthony had told me a little bit about the products and how they were more natural, it did pique my interest a little bit. But like I said, I prayed for a vehicle to find a better way. And when God speaks, I listen. And that's kind of been my motto my whole life. So when Isogenics, I prayed about it for 5 months. And so when it kept coming up and coming up, I'm like, oh, there's got to be something more to this than just the products making me feel good. And it was that opportunity to serve more people. And so that's why I came in. It was one, because I wanted to feel better and get on something more natural. And then two, so that I could serve people. So
I love that. Thank you. I just, I've heard your story before around that, and I just felt like people, need to hear. And that was the same thing for me. I had tried so many, on the weight loss perspective, I tried so many diets out there, and and I just felt yucky, right? And I just felt so good on this. Plus, people are always looking for that magic pill, well, this was the magic thing for me, just because I put it in my body. I felt so amazing. I was releasing the weight, quickly. And, it's the first time I could say safe, quick weight loss all in the same sentence, right?
wow.
And, and same with you with your fitness and everything. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So you guys, I just want to, or again, the affirmation for today is I am committed and determined. And a story comes to mind about, it's called Burning the Boats. You guys have all probably heard it, but it's these, people that this captain and all of his people, and they landed on this island to take over this island. And when they got to shore, the captain said, burn the boats. And they were like, what in the world? Like, we'll never be able to get off the island if we burn the boats. And the captain said, exactly. Like, we are committed. We are committed and determined to take over this island. And I'm not letting you have a way out. Like, we're committed to this. So how committed are you to your goals? Are you willing to burn the boats so that you don't have a way out, so that just dig deep, really deeply, and just, what is your why? What is it? Megan's why, she's clear, right? She's clear on her why, because she knows what she's going after. She's she's strong in her faith right now. Look at her 5 points and that's the thing that just struck me yesterday when she was talking to me on the phone. She knew clearly what her 5 top priorities were. It was her faith. It was her, great relationships. It was her family, to build a better relationship with her husband. And what was the last thing, Megan? It was, yeah, in your business, and just being really clear and serving and helping others. So what are your 5 top priorities? I want to just, this weekend, it's Saturday, be thinking about this weekend and inbox me or put it in this thread or something. I want to know what your 5 top priorities are, because it's so important to be very clear on, what your goals are, and burn the boats and be really committed and determined to your goals. Megan, do you have anything last little thing to say at all?
Not really, but that burn the boat, man, that gave me goosebumps. I like that story. I'm burning boats like crazy. Because we all have boats. I think we have 1,000 boats, and you have to burn one after the next, because those boats are like going back to what you're used to and going back to the old comfort zone. And so, yeah, I got a lot of boats to still burn, and I'm excited about it. I think I'm gonna like draw a whole bunch of boats on paper and burn them as I
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
right. And I know we've talked a lot about excuses in my live streams, but those boats are your excuses too, right? Going right back and hopping on that boat that has that excuse. It's such a good analogy for that, and just burning those boats. So you guys, thank you for being with us today. Megan, thank you for your story. Thank you for, just being so filled with light and love for so many people. And I appreciate you so much. And I'm sure that everybody on here feels the same way. And just know that we can have, we can all have setbacks from time to time, but we can always make that comeback, right?
Mm-hmm. I love it, Jill. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you. All
right, you're welcome. You guys have a great Saturday, and I'll be with you tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Have a blessed day.
Bye.